looked like they were grading on it. She said that shouldn't be happening. But that she would prefer coming to our November meeting, attending our November meeting, and let her know when that is.
They said they weren't grading?
She said
I
they
saw
were
a
not.
huge bulldozer excavator there 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's still there.
It's still there, and I've heard people complain about the tilt on it.
Yeah, when I was driving by, I was like, I hope this thing doesn't fall over.
Right.
Yeah, that's what she emailed me. I will find the email and read it when I get a chance. But she asked to be at our November meeting.
Okay. So if we want to do that, do we want to do anything about the fact that they are grading before?
Well, I want to take back, but I don't know if they were
They just
excavating or
parked there.
grading. There was a huge, I didn't look into the land to see what was going on, but I did see a huge
Right, I saw that.
excavator.
May I just read what she wrote? Hi, Eileen, thanks for reaching out to me. I'm out of town on the 27th. She got the date wrong. Can you postpone this, Kenny, till November? There is no grading that I know of. There might have been some work for the boring of the soils report, question mark. I will ask my client, but no grading that I have heard about. There are no approvals yet. So is somebody moving without approvals?
They never do that around here.
What's the
Okay.
proposed street widening?
Pardon me?
What's the proposed street widening that was shown in there? Is that wishful thinking street widening or?
Well, they always have to get a variance for, what is it, 12 point something, to widen the street down to the collector road, and the city always lets them off that, of course. But you do have to widen in front of the property. But as it is, supposedly the Bureau of Engineering is looking at Kenny Street because the entrance from Crestmore is only 10 feet wide. And we know all the fun that happens on that steep switchback.
Right.
Yeah. Trucks are tipping over.
Well, maybe we could, work with the Bureau of Engineering to urge the city to hold their feet to the fire in this case rather than give the exemption.
Unfortunately, because we were so successful in getting Bureau of Engineering involved, we were told to thank you very much and please step back. So we would have to work with the council office.
Because this seems like a necessary precondition before any more construction happens. Getting up to that street, and the street itself is just so substandard.
I mean, I don't think it'd be fair to put that onus on just them because there's been a lot of new constructions on that street. I mean, if they are supposed to improve what their house is, like in front of their house, but to make this owner go down and fix more of the street, it wouldn't be fair.
Well, what they've been trying to ask is that haul route take Division and avoid Kenny. There's a weight limitation on trucks supposedly on Kenny anyway, but it's always ignored.
Going up through Lavelle, and then there's a big dip when you get onto Cazador. Either way, and then the big turnaround to Vision would be bad too.
I know.
Okay, so on this item, we will table it till next month? Is there an agreement on that?
No, November. You keep skipping
till
over
November.
October.
Okay, not next month.
But does anyone want to follow through about the grading?
Is it
We
just
don't know
hearsay
if
at this
it's
point?
actually grading, right?
Yeah, I took it back what I said. I don't know if they were grading. There was a big,
Just digging.
I don't know if they were
Yeah, whether
actively
it's
digging.
soil or.
There's a big bulldozer, excavator there, whatever.
Yeah.
Should we do something to suggest that if we find out between now and the executive committee meeting that there is grading going on, that we would like to have the board consider a letter stating
Sure.
that it's our understanding there are no approvals on this project and why is there grading?
Sure, so
Is that-
reconvening a meeting to make a motion. I can make the motion that if between now and the executive committee meeting, if this committee learns that they are doing something without permit or and doing it all without being above board, that we recommend something to the board to file a letter, to write a letter.
I'm not going to second it, I just wanted to comment on it. I mean, whose area is this?
It's area 4, isn't it? That would be good.
Normally, this is something an area rep can just call the council office and say, hey, we
Okay.
hear that there's grading, there shouldn't be grading. It
Okay,
could
so
be a
this doesn't
lot
require-
simpler than going through the whole neighborhood
Okay.
council process.
That was a mistake.
Good to know. All right, so let it go.
Well, or can we, it's Heather, right?
Heather is area 4, yes. Yeah.
Can we just,
If that's area
can
four,
we
then
just,
yes.
discuss this with Heather and see if she would like to follow up on something?
Sure,
Keep it that simple?
yes.
I don't think we need board approval for that, right?
The councilman?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Item 8, updates on pending projects, issues for review, discussion, and possible action. Item A is 3079 North San Fernando Road. It's the 7-Eleven store on, at Fletcher Square. I forwarded everyone just minutes before this meeting started. We got an email from Sherry Olson representing 7-Eleven. And she, let's see if I can find this. Here we go. It says, per our conversation, please see below our update on Fletcher Square and San Fernando comments. At the June meeting, we discussed putting in removable bollards. It is important to note that 7-Eleven does not own the property and subsequently does not have a final say on what can be done on the property outside our store. We reported back to the landlord on the discussions we had at the June EDLUC meeting, yet they rejected the idea of closing the driveways. Chris and I were able to get 7-Eleven to agree to pay for the bollards as well as their installation. Unfortunately, the landlord is still resistant to the idea. Nonetheless, we are still committed to follow through on GPNC's request, and although we can make no guarantees, we will continue to work to see if we can encourage the landlord to allow us to install the bollards. We will report back to you as soon as we continue to obtain any new developments on the matter. We continue to do community benefits within this area. So that is the comment about Fletcher Square. As I recall, we had more than just driveway considerations there. We were talking about the signage, loitering,
Lighting.
landscaping,
I think the striping of the parking.
changing the striping of the parking possibly to make it more directional. So obviously they're focused on bollards, which would be, there are 4 driveways
There are, on San Fernando
along San
Road.
Fernando Road, allowing you to go in and out of that 7-Eleven, AutoZone, and whatever else is there. And we were suggesting maybe putting bollards in to block 2 of the driveways so that you wouldn't have quite so much confusion with traffic flow. Also, people getting off of San Fernando Road and using the parking lot to get over to Fletcher when the light is red. All kinds of traffic issues that might be resolved by closing off a couple driveways. And then we also suggested that, I think Brendan, you suggested that if they did directional parking, then it would make sense to have, one driveway to go in and one driveway to go out. And then there's also driveways on Fletcher besides. So this update addresses one of the things that we talked about. I don't know that we got any reply about lighting, landscaping, loitering, anything else. But we can ask again, and maybe we'll find out more about it next month. I don't quite know what else to do.
Do you want
There's
to
a
have a
7-Eleven there now, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a 7-Eleven open for business there. Yeah,
I-
it's been a year.
I was a little confused because at the general board meeting, they were talking about the 7-Eleven also on Eagle Rock Boulevard.
The El Paso.
And they were talking about upgrades to the proposed new one, and I couldn't understand if they were going to be making some of those same, they were mostly security things, to the one on Fletcher and San Fernando Road.
I don't
No,
propose
they
that.
weren't addressing any of that.
They actually were talking about
The-
closing the the 7-Eleven on El Paso.
Yes, they
Yeah.
were. You know, the police department actually opposed the 7-Eleven on Fletcher and San Fernando Road.
Really?
No.
Do they know about the one on Cazador?
I don't know if they have written a letter on that one. It was part of the other one's file.
So they're upset that we didn't share the letter before we brought to the board.
Yes, so that's the next item. But do we,
Do
is
you
there,
want another letter for
is
the-
there anything we want to do about this Fletcher Square? You know, they're aware of our considerations and our concerns. We sent the letter, they received it, they responded to, you know, they responded sort of in, yes, we'll look at the landscaping, yes, we'll look at the signage. You know, they pretended they didn't know, or suggested that they didn't know about the loitering issue. So we're just waiting for more answers to the letter we wrote.
I believe, and I could be wrong, because I don't know why this came to the committee in the first place. I think there was something specious about that. But I believe the ZA gave them a 5-year before we review again because of their conditional use beverage is what they had. And there was a list of conditions in the letter, and I don't have it on me, and I'd have to go look it up from the ZA. And then there was the request that the neighborhood council made that added to that. We can go back to the ZA and address their conditions and reiterate ours, I think, if we want to.
I think we did that.
To the ZA's letter?
Yes, I think we sent a letter saying that the conditions, that we felt that the ZA's conditions had not been
Ah,
met.
okay.
We'd have to look and see
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
if we did
I
draft
think
and
I
send
wrote
that letter. But if we did,
Then it would
on
merely
record.
be a matter of following up.
Maybe we need to follow up and send another one, because I think, wasn't that the paper letter? Like, there was one letter for 7-Eleven that was mailed, that I had to mail.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because there was no email address, and you sent me a physical
Wait, you sent
address.
a physical letter?
Did Molly sign it, or did Ben?
Ben.
Oh.
Oh, you printed it out?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
But I also sent it from my mailbox on Fletcher, which has been tampered with, so you never know.
Okay, so do we want to make a motion to find the letter that we sent, confirm that it was received, and if it was received, you know, ask them to please look at it? I mean,
We usually request that it's, you know, they locate it into the file, because that doesn't always automatically happen.
We're talking about the letter the board approved?
the board approved, and apparently we mailed a letter that listed the conditions and noted that the conditions that the ZA had put on this permit had not been met.
Oh, about
Some
the
of them.
Fletcher Square one.
Right, the
Yeah.
Fletcher Square one.
Yeah.
So basically, we want to confirm that it's, is this actually something that we need to vote on, or can Laura just call and ask the ZA, is it in the file?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's something that we need to vote on. We're not saying we're supporting or not. We just want to make sure our letter has actually made it into the file.
The follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it on 3079?
Me to make a motion on myself.
Right, we can just, Laura can just make that call and just confirm that the letter you sent made it. I think that's something that you can just do. Okay.
And then if for some reason they don't have it, do we then have to
No, we just
go
resend it.
all the way back
Uh-uh.
through it all over
No, it's
again?
already been approved. It's the
Okay.
same letter,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And if there's something we don't like about it, we could place it back on the agenda, but otherwise, just resend the letter.
Just send it
Okay.
and ask for confirmation that it was received. Okay, item 8B is 2205 North San Fernando Road. That's a proposed location for a new 7-Eleven store. The same people are representing 7-Eleven in this one. They were unable to come to our last land use committee meeting. So they presented to the full board on September 20th. We had previously informed them that the land use committee had their plans, which they submitted in advance of the meeting, and it was agendized for discussion and possible action. So we looked at it because we were there in meeting and we looked at their plans. It became pretty apparent to us that traffic was going to be a huge issue in this one. So we because it was on the agenda for action, we took action and recommended to the board that we send a letter stating our concerns about traffic and safety in that area. That letter was on the agenda at the same meeting on the 20th. However, it was late in the agenda. They presented very early in the agenda. So they didn't respond to the letter. They didn't even know about the letter at that point. So I'm not sure, and I would have to find out because I'm new to this, whether or not I was supposed to say, hey, by the way, we acted and we sent a letter. Do I follow up with applicants after we meet, or is it on the applicant to find out what happened? I don't know. So anyway, the letter that we got from the further on that email is, Chris requested the land use to push our item up to the board to be heard due to family emergencies for both Chris and I. I had a family member dying and his wife was in the hospital. Chris spoke with the board member from the land use, that would be me, and was assured by them that not attending this meeting would not have a negative impact on our case. He made it clear that if this was going to be a negative impact, that he would find someone else to look after his wife and would be there to present. We were shocked to find out that the land use took a vote to deny our request and wrote a letter of non-support to the board. The board took an official stand and adopted the land use letter. It would have been nice to receive a copy of the letter or email, call, etc., so we could have had a chance to prepare our presentation differently. I received an official copy from the ZA yesterday after Chris made several requests to obtain this letter from your board, but never received a copy. Anybody?
Who did he request it from?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's been calling you, right?
I stopped taking his calls because I'm advised by the city attorney that I shouldn't be talking with applicants.
Ex parte, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
So at this point, we are concerned about the entire process. Putting us on your land use agenda for comments after your land use and board took an official stand and wrote a letter to the ZA to strongly oppose is concerning. In addition, we were told at the board meeting that there was nothing we could do since their main concern was traffic and it was out of control. And it was out of our control. Thank you, Sherry. So,
I don't think that that's our main concern.
Yeah, there was a lot of concern.
We sent a letter.
And whether or not they were here, I wouldn't have changed any of those. They're still gonna be where it is. There's still gonna be a school
Right.
there. There's still gonna be all the same concerns, so.
right, and I explained to her, because she emailed me, she called me 3 times today, she emailed me. And at some point, I did contact the city attorney to find out whether I should even return a call. I explained when I called, because it looked like all she wanted to know was what was on the agenda and what did I want her to present. So I called her back, and she did say that there was nothing that they could possibly do to change anything about the traffic in the area. And I said that that was what we felt we were, since it was a discussion and action item on the agenda, and that was something that there was little or nothing that they could defend or present that was going to change anything, that we felt very comfortable discussing traffic and nothing else about the project, with regard to basically whether they should be there or not. That was at the land use meeting. Now, when they presented, of course, the board asked many questions. In hindsight, I think we should have been, should have said, and we've already got this letter, it's on the agenda, it's number 15, we'll get to it in about 3 hours. So, I think that, for me, that's on me because I'm never chaired a committee before, but also, it was sent, and I'm not even sure that we are the people that send out copies, or why would we do that? It should come from the ZA.
It could be a common courtesy.
It could be.
But then
And if we
again,
want to start doing that, we
you'd be
can.
inviting them to lobby
Right, but I mean,
to
where's,
get a different outcome.
To send them the letter.
Common sense. Well, if they see that it's in opposition, I'm sure they would do their utmost to lobby her.
We also don't think it's our duty to supply our outcomes to the presenters, right?
Well, if they were here, they would have known.
Well, yeah.
Like Mike, he's going to walk away from here knowing that we're sending a
But
letter of support.
Are we gonna call the Cazador person and tell them that we're gonna take them off our agenda?
No. So, anyway, I don't know what this discussion is. Yes.
If I may offer a
Yes,
perspective
please.
as someone who's a frequent applicant and goes through these processes. When one of my projects is being heard, one of us shows up. However, I think I would have a reasonable expectation that if a committee such as this were going to take action for or against one of my projects during a date when we had said we're not going to show up, it would be common courtesy to copy me on the correspondence with the ZA, so I at least know what's going on. Because the ZAs are, I don't know what your interaction with them is, but it would not be uncommon for the ZA to take 3 months to say, oh, by the way, we've got, this letter that's in your file that's gonna have an impact.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't-
Go ahead, Noel.
I think since we're only making recommendations to the board, and if the board does choose to send a letter of support or non-support, that I think it would be a courtesy that if the letter is sent to the ZA, we should also make it so that Pluck sends the letter to the applicant. I think that would be,
Not Pluck,
In the future.
the board.
right, well,
Pluck never sends a letter.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a our letter does not get sent to the ZA, it gets sent to the board for approval, then to the ZA, correct?
Yes.
So our letter was after them on the agenda, they had a time to present without the board even knowing about our letter.
Well, it was on the supporting documents, but
But,
rarely.
I mean, they pretty much had their day in court before it was submitted.
Right, they gave their presentation
they
at the
gave
day of the board.
Right,
when-
it can be argued
before we
in
adopt
many
it.
directions. I think I would want to err on the side of, as much information as possible. And so I think that was a mistake that we should, I don't think we were out of line at all to discuss it at the land use meeting. They had already sent us all the documentation that we wanted, and we looked at it because it was on the agenda. That I don't think we had a problem with. The fact that we drafted a letter and did not
CC them on the letter?
No, inform them that it was going to come up later in the agenda
Uh-huh.
on the day that it did.
but I did tell them.
Yeah,
That's true.
my problem with it was just a matter of how this was agendized. Although I don't feel that there was an enormous amount of sincerity in that email, I do appreciate the fact that the way that we handled it was a bit convoluted. Normally, you have a presentation, and if you have a letter already that is having some objections or even support, it should be talked about immediately following that presentation, and everything should be hashed out right then and then moved forward on it. So I am sympathetic with them on that. And the fact that it's back here for discussion, actually, it really didn't have to be. The board has done what the board wanted to do. It sent out its position. If we wanted to reverse that, change that, alter it, then thered be a reason for it to be back on this agenda. And that's my fault, because I wasn't thinking it through.
Well, actually, I thought it should be on here because they were going to speak, and if it weren't on the agenda, they wouldn't be able to mention anything about the new store, we wouldn't be able to ask any questions about the new store. So the fact that it's on the agenda is just so that we can discuss if we wanted to.
That's true.
So that's
And we
really the
can't
only reason it's
otherwise.
here.
So at this point, other than saying lesson learned, I think the important thing is that the hearing might have been moved from, from the 4th to?
Yeah, she said to me that it's possible, the whole reason that all of this got pushed forward and everything was that we weren't going to meet in time for the board to act before their hearing, which was scheduled for October 4th. October 4th turns out to be a holiday, and it's probably going to get rescheduled to October 25th. So that will be after the next board meeting, and it could have happened at this, they could be here tonight, and
But
then,
we didn't know that at
but
the
we didn't
time.
know that.
And
So it's a
even
lot
at the
of,
time of the board meeting, they still thought it was on the board.
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
they thought about it still today. They still weren't completely sure that it was going to be canceled, but all the city council meetings have been canceled for the 4th.
So I think moving forward, their best practice should be when the board takes an official position, sends an official letter.
The
we'll send
applicant should get a copy.
Yeah, send a copy to the applicant.
Absolutely.
And I did feel
Which,
that
but which technically, that was not, that rule, or whatever, not that it's a rule, that was not broken, that process was not broken.
Oh, no,
Because
yeah.
it wasn't supported until after.
Right, I'm saying the board, not this committee sending.
No, I know, but
the board itself.
that wasn't heard until after the 7-Eleven presentation, so they technically,
They had it.
Yeah.
it didn't get approved until after they presented.
Yep.
And after they were gone, though.
And after
And
we're
after,
gone.
so-
It would be nice to maybe have that discussion in front of them, right?
Yes, exactly that.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Do we,
Also, on this, if this is something that should be done more as a stakeholder, let me know. But this is not in Sylvia's district. I asked her about it. I think it's Sylvia from, she goes to Neil's office. I think this is in Mitchell Farrell's district.
Which one?
The one on 202.
On Fletcher, it's
2205.
Mitchell Farrell's.
2205,
No,
the new one.
2205 is CD1.
CD1.
I see, that's not Mitch.
Okay, well Sylvia has taken that. Okay, well, I'll talk to Sylvia.
Yeah, the transit pavilion is further west, and that is
They
there.
have CD1? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. I'll talk to her.
Okay. Do we want to,
Well,
It's not on the agenda, but we really do need to have a conversation of who talks to who about what and so forth.
Well, yeah, this would be like more of a stakeholder.
I
wouldn't
think,
take a
I think
stance up front.
non-board members can talk to whomever they please.
Mhm.
Is that
Well,
possible?
and also,
Except
I
for
just wanna know
committee
if they know
members?
about it, really, you know?
right,
Because I think that's something that the councils, they should be aware of.
yeah, and as a stakeholder, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, do we need to make any kind of motion that's, or a protocol that says we just CC applicants from now on, or is that just going to be understood?
There's no standing rules for this committee. We can make a
No,
motion
the
to,
board. Do we need to inform the board of that?
we can make a motion to add it to the standing rules since this committee has specific standing rules.
Yes, let's do that. I'd like to make a motion that in the future, any letters that are sent by the board to the zoning administrator or anyone else who's got a decision-making capacity, the applicant should be CC'd.
No offense, but is there anything on this current agenda about that?
No, there isn't. Good idea. All right.
So we can do it.
Let's just,
But
that
at the
seems
board
like
meeting,
something for the
we can
board to
suggest
take
it
up
at the board
at an
meeting.
executive committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring it up at the executive committee meeting. Okay, so the final item on this agenda is 3553 East Lavelle Drive. It's a new home with a detached garage, and the board sent a letter of non-support to ZA Jack Chang on August 29th. I wanted to be able to give an update at this committee meeting, so I sent him this email that, down a little bit. There we go. So I sent this saying, I just left you, I sent to Mr. Shute because I called Jack Chang. It was an out of the office for another couple of weeks thing. So I emailed Greg Shute and I said that I'd left him a message and that we want an update about the property. The board sent a letter of non-support. Can you tell me if Mr. Chang has made a determination? So I didn't hear from Greg Shute, but I did get an email from Jack Chang. And it said, hello, I have not issued a determination on this project. I'm still waiting for the applicant to submit an approval grading report from LADBS and revised elevation plan. Andy M., that's the former co-chair of this committee, gave me a copy of the Glassell Park NC letter. NC opposes the project due to lack of information. Would the NC like to review the project if the applicant submits a revised plan? So I replied, thank you for your reply. I am the chair of the GPNC's Planning and Land Use Committee, and it concerns me that you did not receive the NC's letter of non-support.
Literally an email from him saying thank you for the letter
Yeah.
on August 29th.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got it.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I know.
So, anyway, he finally got to the point of that he got the letter from Ben after all, not Andy, and that he will keep us informed about the new, anything new on this project.
Which is why I think maybe we should agendize a little discussion about this on our next agenda, so that situations like this can be avoided.
Well, I'm confused. What are we avoiding?
How are we supposed to avoid that?
He forgot that he was.
Personal communications to the city from committee members acting as neighborhood council representatives.
Oh, no.
This was Ben as the chair of the board sending a letter.
Well,
So-
Andy, you mean Andy went out
Maybe
first,
Andy,
yeah.
So what happened, I can actually speak to this. So what happened was that Jack had sent an email to Andrew, the former head of the committee, asking if they made a determination yet. He sent this long-winded email. Jack then sent me an email as the board chair asking if we made any determination. I sent him the letter. He responded saying, thank you. That was that. He just was recalling incorrectly. So there was no outside communication.
I wasn't saying you.
Oh, no, I know.
I'm just
Yeah, but
protocol.
for anybody, there was no outside
Right.
communication.
So does Chang know that Andy's not on the committee anymore? Okay.
Okay. Anybody have anybody? Nothing? Okay.
Great.
Can we move to adjourn this?
I make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for coming, for presenting.
We talked about, he basically just said,
Why can't I let him go away?
I didn't quite get that.
Why won't you go away?
Yeah,
Figured
the
that
other
out.
times both look really similar, so he's not here.
All right, when did you send that email? Because I didn't get it.
August 29th.
Zoning
I
administrator,
don't think so.
I think we're,
Hey,
Yeah, and he's doing
So- here, let me turn this on.